Hi, my name is Chris Allaun. A little bit about me, if you don't know who I am. I am an ordained minister with the Fellowship of the Phoenix, which is a queer group in Chicago. And I am the author of A Guide of Spirits. We will be talking about Psychopomp work today. So this is a guide of spirits, a Psychopomp manual for transitioning the dead to the afterlife. I'm also the author of Otherworld, Ecstatic Witchcraft for the Spirits of the Land. So today we're going to talk about Psychopomp, and I know that a lot of you may be thinking, what's a Psychopomp? I kind of heard it in my mythology class. I'm not quite sure what it is. So a Psychopomp, simply, the term Psychopomp is Greek, and it means a guide of souls or a guide of spirits. So basically, in mythology, there are lots of stories about an entity, a god, a spirit, a person, or some type of a being that helps people who have died find their way to the afterlife. So some of the common Psychopomps you may have heard of is Chiron, the fairy man who rose the dead to Hades, Hecate, Hermes. There's also Anubis. There's also a Welsh god whose name Gwyneth, and several others. So people, living human beings, are also Psychopomps as well, especially those of us who work with spirits, who work with the dead, or psychic, intuitive, or magical. It's interesting because I'm a Reiki master teacher, and one of the things they teach in advanced of Reiki classes is what they call Reiki poem, and that originates in Tibet, and it's energy healing for the dead, or actually how to help them leave their body in a way that's peaceful and things like that. So, as a human being, why should we become Psychopomp? Why should we help the spirits and things like that? So, one of the misconceptions about dying and the dead is that everyone tends to think that when you die, you become blissful and everything's okay, and you have no stresses or anxiety or trauma, and you go to either heaven or some type of an afterlife, and everything's great. So I have been working with the dead for 25 plus years, and yes, sometimes when people die, they transition peacefully. Some people don't. And there's many factors of why they may not. One of the things we have to remember is when you die, you don't become wise or immediately connected to all things and things like that. It's like when you die, it's the same thing as if you're taking off your shirt or shoes. You're just a spirit taking off your body. So what happens is that when you die, you're the same person with the same thoughts, the same hopes, the same fears, the same anxieties, the same traumas, and things like that. So, most people, when they die, especially if they die surrounded by family and friends, old age, it's peaceful, However, there's a lot of people who died because of trauma, accidents, and things like that, which I'm going to talk about, that don't transition so peacefully. Commonly, I can see spirits, I can feel the spirits, I talk to the spirits and think, can I have a magical ancestral practice? So I work with the ancestors all the time. When you die, what happens is that the ancestors, your ancestors or family and friends who have passed before you, come to your side and lead you into the afterlife. And many times people have reported, as they get closer to death, if they start to see grandparents, parents, siblings who have died, friends who have died, even for sometimes pets. And so ideally, in an ideal death situation, you're not only surrounded by your living family and friends, but you're also surrounded by your ancestral family and friends. So let's talk about why someone may not transition to the afterlife. So the first thing is that sudden death. So a sudden heart attack, an aneurysm, a stroke, or anything that happens so fast that someone doesn't even realize that they're dead. Or, especially in the case of a younger person, and I say younger, anyone under 70, they may not be ready to die. They may have children, spouses, jobs, family and friends who they don't want to leave. So that's one of the reasons. And another reason is if it's a violent death. So like carjackings, robbery, murder, attacks, fights, or if someone's in the armed forces and dies quickly or dies very young, which happens all too often, they may seek justice. They may, again, being so young, they may not be ready to transition. Another big one is addiction. So if you've ever had any experience with an addiction yourself, or maybe a person that you know and love, or just even read about it or seen videos and things like that, when someone is in the height of addiction, the only thing that's important is that addiction, so that high, or the alcohol, or whatever they're using. And if someone dies of an overdose or a heart attack, there's a lot of drugs that over time weaken the heart, liver, kidneys, and so forth. And if they die from addiction, they may not be ready to transition to the afterlife and heal. And think about it this way: when someone's in the height of their addiction, You can help them all you want. You can take them to therapy. You can take them to rehab. Until they make a choice to heal from their addiction, they're not going to. Same thing if they just die from their addiction. They may not want to transition and heal, but they will chase their addiction. And there's many ways a spirit who has addictive traits and may seek that high even after they're dead. Another reason is very common is unfinished business. And unfinished business can be something grand, like I need to see my child grow up, or something small, like let me see, it's for something like I want to see who wins for the next election. It could be that, or anything in between. And a lot of what happens with unfinished business is the idea of, I don't want to go to the afterlife until things are resolved here on the physical plane. There's also fear of the other side. So, I think a long time ago, a lot of people were afraid of hell, were afraid of, because the church would say, oh, everything's a sin. And by being a human, we do those things. And so I think a lot of people had a fear of going to hell. However, in the 21st century, I haven't found a lot of cases of people fearing hell per se. I've seen spirits who are afraid of what if, afraid of I'm not sure what's going to happen. It's scary. Afraid of lights out, nothing. The end. Then it's the cease of consciousness. There's also that fear. Another reason why someone may but not transition is because anger, resentment, and how someone may be angry is, say they have a fight with a sibling and until things are resolved, they don't want to transition to the afterlife. So, I will say, as a psychopomp, you do have to have a few. You do have to have a few tools. You can't just have intention. You do have to be able to have some intuitive and psychic abilities. Like you have to be able to, if not see the spirits, at least see them in your head. Be able to visualize them. You need to be able to sense their presence, and you need to be able to talk to them. And I will say that all of those things I teach in this book, so you'll be able to learn how to see the spirits, talk to the spirits, and sense them in a couple of these chapters. I think some people have reservations about becoming a psychopomp, or even just doing psychopomp work when it's asked of them, because it seems so esoteric. It seems so astral and out there. And I'm gonna say that you can do psychopomp work in a meditation. If you know anything about shamanic journeying or astral projection, it's a lot easier when you have those tools behind you. But if you're one of those who has a hard time with astral projection, shamanic journeying, you can actually do psychopomp healing in a guided meditation and things like that. I will strongly recommends that if you're drawn to healing the spirits, healing the dead, that you should have some psychopomp teachers. So what is a psychopomp teacher? So a psychopomp teacher is someone who's a spirit or a god or goddess who can help you with your questions, who can help you help you troubleshoot. So I follow my psychopomp teachers are Hecate, Hermes, and you can kind of see on the altar over here. I mean, just kind of see I have a psychopomp altar right behind me, and this angel over here is Azrael. So that is the Jewish angel of death. And a psychopomp teacher, how you even find one. I put out a magical call. So I've lit a white candle and just said, Spirit, please send me a psychopomp teacher. And then I did a meditation, and Azrael showed up, Hermes showed up, Hecate showed up. You don't always have to have three. I just happen to have three. You can have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's up to you and whoever comes. And what I do is I'll go into a meditation and I will visualize one or all the spirits, and I'll say, hey, teach me to be a better psychopomp. Or I may have a question and say, oh, so-and-so hasn't died and I'm struggling to help them transition. How can I help them? What should I say? What tools do I need to have? What incense? What crystals? What magical robes? They can answer all your questions. So here's when I do psychopomp healing, I call my spirit teachers. I call on my psychopomp teachers. I'll call on Hecate, Azrael, and Hermes. And these particular spirits are going to help transition the dead to the afterlife. I will say you don't have to have a spirit or a god of the dead to be your spirit teacher. It can be the goddess, the god. It can be your own ancestors. It can be basically anything who has experience with healing the dead can be your teachers. Let's see here. So I want to talk about a little bit about how to heal the dead. What does that look like? So healing the dead, so there's several things that we can do. If you know energy healing or Reiki or quantum touch, you can certainly use those skills. However, there's a whole lot of people who don't have Reiki training, who've never actually done energy healing before. It isn't hard. I'll say that one of my personal, irritations is when people act like energy healing is extremely hard and it takes all these classes and you have to pay all this cash to learn how to do energy healing. I can actually teach you in 2 seconds here for free. I will say, I'm a Reiki master teacher, which means I teach people how to teach Reiki. Okay. So I think it has a lot of value. I use Reiki every single day, but that is a very specific lineage. it's a it's a very specific way to do energy healing, but you don't need it. Is it helpful? Yes. You have to have it. No, you don't. So how you do basic energy healing is think about it's the energy of the stars, of the planets, of the entire universe. And then close your eyes and visualize a beam of white light coming into your crown chakras. So you're just going to breathe it in, and on the inhale, breathe it in into your heart. And you're going to take another breath. And on the exhale, breathe that healing energy through your arms and out of your hands. So listen to the whole thing. Bring your attention to the heavens, the galaxies, the planets, things like that. Breathe in a beam of white light. So breathe in again. And on the exhale, send the white light out of your heart through the arms and out the hands like this. Simple. Very simple. You can also use the earth energy. I heard something someplace, I'm kind of into it, I'm kind of that earth energy heals the physical form, and celestial energy heals the etheric, astral, and spirit. I think it's the same, and I think they both have value, and I use them both this celestial energy and the earth energy. I like to do it at the same time. Let me show you. So you can't really see my feet on camera, but my feet are touching the ground. And I bring to my attention the hot core of the earth, the fire of the earth. And then I take a breath and I breathe up the fire into my heart. And just like before, you take a breath and send the fire out of your heart through your arm and out of your hands like this. So you can combine the two. So breathe in the stars, breathe up the earth, exhale. Take in the other breath, and breathe out the energies through your hands. And the reason I make a sound is because it helps me focus the energies. You don't have to have a sound. You can just, I like the sound because it really helps me focus and visualize like this. So to send healing energy to the spirit of the dead, you're going to call them. I was going to say John Smith, and just say their name. John Smith, John Smith, John Smith. If you want to write a whole poem using John Smith, that's the name you can. That's completely fine. Visualize the person who died in front of you. Breathe in the heaven energy. Breathe up the earth energy. And you're going to send healing energy to the spirit of the dead. And I just breathe in that energy and keep on sending, keep on sending. How do I know when to quit sending the healing energy? When it feels appropriate. That's it. When you feel like it. What I like to do as I'm breathing and the healing energy and sending it out is I also think about and feel. I think it's important to actually feel the energy as you send it. Peace, healing, openness, meaning open to transition, open to what happens in the afterlife, love, compassion, because, for people who die alone, they may feel like they didn't have compassion. So I'm going to send them all these things. So I breathe down the stars, I breathe up the earth, I take a breath, and I send out healing, love, peace, compassion. And I visualize the healing energy filling up the spirit and helping them transition. Then I cut the cord. So I actually don't believe in astral cords or anything like that. The reason I cut the cord is because it tells my consciousness, okay, we are separated, so we are through this healing session and there's no more connection with us. Now, the other thing I do after I cut the cord is I will imagine curtains closing and the person transitions to the afterlife. And I'll give offerings to my spirits and my gods. If you'd like, before you do an energy healing session for the spirits, call your ancestors, call your gods, call your Psychopomp teachers. So what happens if you have some more advanced things, like you have a person who refuses to transition, a person who had addiction, or a person who died of a heart attack or a car accident? It's like, nope, I'm not going. What do you do? For the first thing you do is you call your ancestors. You call them for protection of yourself and for guidance. Then the next thing you do is you call upon your Psychopomp teacher. And what I like to do, I'll visualize the ancestors showing up, the Psychopomp teachers showing up, partly because a protection of yourself. Also is if you need help or you need guidance in a tricky situation, your ancestors and your Psychopomp teachers can help you. And I just say, ooh, I'm struggling here, or I need some help. Can you help me? You may be asking, so, well, why don't I just ask my Psychopomp teacher to help them? Why can't Hecate do it? Why can't Hermes do it? They can. However, a few things. First of all, the more that you heal the spirits of the dead, and the more you do this work, the more spirits will see you have a higher vibration. I even know it's a higher vibration. A vibration that vibrates in such a way that spirits see that you're helpful to them. And when you call spirits for healing, for witchcraft, for shamanism, they'll show up. Because they're like, hey, you're that person who works with the spirits, so I'm going to work with you, The other thing is that if you consider yourself a healer, which I'm very much a healer, you don't just heal the living, you heal the dead. This kind of goes to show you that once a person leaves their physical form, we don't forget them. We don't just go, oh, it's not my problem, So you call upon your psychic, your Psychopomp teachers and guides. The next thing you want to do is you want to kind of take what I call a psychic history. So this is a little bit more complicated. And again, I teach all this in the book here, so you won't be left behind. So a psychic history, what is that? You've heard of psychometry, right? You've heard of scrying. Imagine those two put together, okay? So you're going to either go to where the person died, or in your own home, wherever you're doing the healing, and you're going to call upon the spirit. You're going to call upon the spirit who is struggling to transition, and use your intuition, use your heart, use your psychic abilities, and try to find out as much as you can psychically, intuitively, how they died, why they died, if there's any karmic energy surrounding that, and all the information you can to have a bigger picture about what happened and why they transition. Because you may see a person who shows up, a spirit, and says, "Oh, I'm not going, I'm not dead. It never happened." And you use your intuition and you say, I see a 16-year-old who had a car accident who refuses to believe that they're dead. All that information helps, okay? So then, when you meet the spirit and, you can either call them or sometimes they just show up. But, when you call them, they are human beings. I'm going to say it again. They are human beings. I think a lot of times where we as witches, shamans, and magicians, where we err is when we think once someone sheds their physical form, they're not human anymore. Again, like I said at the beginning, just because you shed your physical form, you're the same person with the same hopes and fears and desires and traumas and anxieties and all those things. You're still you. So this whole idea that, when someone dies, it's no longer my problem. We need to get away from that, So we're going to call the spirit and we're going to talk to them. We're going to find out, hey, what's going on? And you need to have the approach of a healer, a therapist, a kind person, compassionate. Like, even if you have no skills in therapy at all, come from a place of compassion. Come from a place of, I care. Come from a place of an open heart to you, I think a lot of people are like, oh, open heart, that's a new age term. Mindfulness, that's a new age term. Sure. I think it's more important to just have compassion to the spirits, because when you have compassion to them, the more they're going to respond to you, the more they're going to come to you, the more they're going to open up to you, right? Just like a living person, if you're stoic, I'm not talking to you. If you have compassion, I'm going to talk to you, So you want to hear their story. Why aren't they transitioning? And sometimes you hear stories, and it isn't just them being stubborn. Sometimes they've had trauma, and they're hurting, and this gives you clues, because I'm always trying to find the clues. This gives you clues about how can I help, things I can say, and why they're not transitioning. Because sometimes I can see, okay, so they need some help here. Let me see what I can do. Let me hear what they have to say, and then let's go from there. And if I need help, I can ask my Psychopomp teachers and spirits, I'm struggling here, help me. And they will. So the next thing what to do is call upon their ancestors. If you don't know the name of the spirit who is before you, who needs help transitioning, you don't have to know their name, but it was a very simple technique, and all I do is I tune in to the spirit's energy. I just connect. I tune in. Once I have their energy signature of what I feel is them, I can use it as a catalyst to call their ancestors. I may say, I call to the ancestors of the spirit here who needs our help. I ask that you come to us so that we can help this human being transition. And then you will feel a shift. You'll feel their ancestors showing up. And sometimes you see them, sometimes you just feel them. I think I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the psychic ability to feel the spirits, that they're there. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I feel like something's here. I feel like I'm being watched. I feel like whatever. Even people who aren't witches have this ability. So as long as you feel the spirits are there, that's all you need. So the next thing you're going to do is energy healing. So we do energy healing for spirits of the dead who need help, a slight help transitioning, but the ones who are really struggling to transition, we're going to do the whole thing we just said. So we're going to call our ancestors, call our Psychopomp teachers, and to do a psychic history. We're going to speak with the spirit, or we're going to hear their story and call their ancestors. And then we're going to do some energy healing. And the reason is because sometimes, just like us in a physical form, sometimes we need some healing. Sometimes we need some help. For whatever reason. And I try not to judge the situation. I just give them healing. So same techniques as before, where we're going to breathe in the energy of the stars, breathe up the energy of the earth, take a breath, and send the energy to the spirit. And I'll think peace, compassion, love, things like that. And partly is because almost always, every spirit I've ever helped transition has anxiety, has fears, has doubt, has trauma. And so the energy healing will help them adjust. And one thing to know about energy healing, it doesn't say, poof, you have no more trauma. Oh, good. No, it adjusts your own energies to begin to find a place of acceptance, to begin the process of healing, to begin the idea of balancing the heart, the self, the spirit, right? So then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to open up a portal, and you can use an athame, a broom, a stang, you can use your finger, you can use a crystal, open up a door, open up the veil, and it's going to be a team effort. So the spirit, their ancestors, your Psychopomp teachers, you and your ancestors are all going to help walk the spirit over with compassion, with trust, with love. Then, once the spirit is in the afterlife, goes into the portal, you're going to come out of it, close it, seal it. So, when I say seal, I don't mean, because if you don't seal it, all the ghosts are going to come out and haunt you. That's not what I mean. You seal it because it's a psychological tool for your consciousness that says, you know what? The ritual's over. The human being is in the afterlife. And I'm going to disconnect from the dead and the living. And trust me when I say it's very important to disconnect sometimes and be a living person again. You're going to clear your space so you can smudge. You can do a banishing ritual, or you can just take your broom and clean the area energetically. And then you're going to give offerings to your own spirits and to your ancestors for help. I try as much as I can. Anytime I ask the ancestors or the gods to do anything, I give them some sort of offering. So it can be pastries, bread, alcohol, food, meat, incense, whatever. And then I do things that are living. I do things that are for me. I cleanse myself. I may smudge or whatever, and then I'll eat something, or I'll go and watch TV, or go hang out with my friends, and I enjoy. Or if I don't do those things, because I'm not going to lie, sometimes I have done Psychopomp healing at 2 a.m. and I'm all alone. So and then I'll do something for myself. Before I go, we're getting close to the end. Before I go, I want to just talk about, don't be afraid of this. You're not going to have, scary ghosts follow you around. You're not going to be haunted per se, although I'm fine if a spirit wants to hang out in my house. I don't care. Part of it is that when you approach all witchcraft, all magic with an open heart and compassion and the intent to spiritually evolve and heal and all those things, you have a higher vibration. You do. So that prevents, lower unevolved spirits from hanging around you. And if you're like, I feel like there's spirits that don't belong here, you can do, I like to be kind to the spirits. So I will say, hey, you don't belong here. I'm going to do a banishing. So why don't you go now? And if they don't, I'll take the broom and do an energetic cleansing. I may smudge, I may use frankincense or some other fumigation and things like that. It looks like our time is about over. I'm very thrilled and happy to be here, and I want to say, please, go online and get this book. If your local bookstore does not have it, ask them to order it. Also, my other book, Other World, real quickly, this book is about going into trance, dance technique, to work with the spirits of the earth, plant spirits, dragon spirits, fairy spirits, things like that. So I want to thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great day, night time. I think we're international, so wherever you are. So it looks like there's a question. It is your past loved ones that tell you, okay, hold on. Are we regarding near-death experiences, it is your past loved ones that tell you to return, and it's not your time. When it comes to near-death experiences, I think that's true. I don't believe that there's a time like you have to be born here and you have to die at this time. I don't believe even that. I think we're masters of our own fate. But I do think sometimes our ancestors will say, hey, you got things to do. You got work to do. But I don't think that there's like a cutoff time, because then what's the point, you know? But anyway, at the, I think we're at the end. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon, I hope.